Wally Feresten, this is unbelievable. What a dream that you are on this completely irrelevant Instagram talk show. So thank you so much for joining. There are so many questions I'd love to ask you. First of all, you are considered to be the legendary head of the cue card department at Saturday Night Live and now Late Night with Seth Meyers. And I wanted to start at the very beginning. So you began your career wanting to be an actor or writer, I guess, for TV. So after you took over for Tony Mendez at SNL to run the cue card department, I guess at what point did you start to realize that this was now your passion?
Yeah, I mean, writing was really the passion more than acting. Acting, I was trying to get like acting work, but it was really just because I had nothing else to do.
Right.
Writing was really the passion that I've had since like the 5th grade. I wanted to write. So I took the job to get my foot in the door. Wow. And it actually paid off. I started writing I got a job to write for Celebrity Deathmatch, and I got a job to write for Space Ghost Coast to Coast and some Nickelodeon shows. So it was paying off. But then as I started doing cue cards and I started getting really good at it, the writing kind of faded away a little bit. I still did it, but it faded away, and cue cards kind of took the forefront.
So you were writing, did you write for any show we might know of, I guess, for Nickelodeon?
Show called, now see, not knowing your age and stuff like that. I wrote for a season of Wienerville. Okay. I don't know if you remember that show. Mark Wiener had a show called Wienerville. It was with puppets.
Okay.
I wrote for a season of that, and then I did some. That was the only one for Nickelodeon. Then, like I said, Celebrity Deathmatch, and I wrote a banjo episode of Space Ghost Coast to Coast, which was a pretty well-known episode.
That is crazy. I had no idea. I mean, now I need to check out this Wienerville. This is unbelievable. I mean, like I said, I'm 22, so I'm almost your son's age. So we got to ask your son later if he knows what Wienerville is.
Yeah, he didn't know. No, he didn't know either.
So, at what point did you come to SNL? Like, how did that begin, I guess?
Yeah, I was 25, and I was living in New York City. I couldn't get a job. I wanted to get a job as a bike messenger, but my mom refused to get off the phone. When I told her I'd get hired as a bike messenger, she refused to get off the phone until I told her I'd quit because she thought I'd kill myself, which she was probably right looking back on it. I was working at a golf course, and my brother called me up one day, and he said, I was always saying, let me know if there's any job openings. And he was like, yeah, we need a guy to do cue cards for SNL. And I was like, great. Did you tell him about me? And they were like, he was like, no. He's like, I know you have terrible handwriting.
Is that you had terrible? So your brother thought you had terrible handwriting, but he suggested you for the job that is most important in order to read text.
This is correct. This is correct. And I said, let him tell me that I have bad handwriting, not you. You're not an expert. So he reconsidered and he recommended me, and I went in for an interview, and I got the job.
What was that interview like?
It was the same like I do it now. You come in and you write, you print cue cards. And back then we used these big heavy metal pens. The tips were really tough. It was not good. My writing was not good, but I think because they knew my brother that they thought they'd give me a shot.
I envision I would imagine rather that your hand would get or your wrist would become incredibly tired from that job.
Yes, there's Fridays. I don't do it anymore. But after Fridays, like from 11 until sometimes 12 or 1 in the morning, there's guys just reprinting cards. So yeah, their hands, they have to take breaks. But yeah, there's a lot of carpal tunnel massages going on back there.
So yeah, sure, absolutely. So obviously you've been at SNL for so long. I was wondering, I guess, if you could just tell us a quick story, if there's sort of one of the craziest things you've seen, I guess, whether when making cue cards live on the air or sort of after the show.
Yeah, the stuff that goes on in the parties, like the after parties, whatever happens after 4 a.m. We like to say, let's stays there at 4 a.m. It's just a mishmash of people really drunk. Tracy Morgan taking his shirt off at any opportunity.
Tracy Morgan taking his shirt off.
Taking his shirt off I believe there was one party that he organized, the after party that he organized, where there may or may not have been hookers there. I'm not saying that anybody that I know or cast members participated in that, but there may have been some working women at the party.
God.
Yes, I know. It was terrible. I left right away. At least an hour. Within an hour, I was within 2 hours. I was gone from that.
What year was this?
Oh, this had to be back in the 2000s when Tracy was in rare form.
Oh my God.
Yeah, terrible things.
I guess this kind of leads me to my next question, which was, I guess, like on the hosting side, because obviously you probably, I mean, primarily you work with the cast because you see them every day, but has there been a particularly crazy interaction on the hosting side?
I mean, I work with the host one-on-one each week, and that's one of the great joys of this job is getting to meet these major celebrities and earning their trust, and sometimes making friends with them, and sometimes just having a great relationship. Most of the time, it's they need me, so they're nice, but they're mostly, for the most part, they're really nice people. I mean, I guess Charles Barkley, I would say, we connected. He hosted early on when I was doing it, and he made fun of my hair. All he did was made fun of my hair for the entire weekend. And then he didn't host for like 15 years or 12. 14
What year was this?
I don't remember when he first hosted. It had to have been in maybe the mid 90s, but then he came back.
Okay, let's get a picture up of Wally's mid 90s hair. Let's get that right there.
Yeah, I had spiky hair like my brother did, and he just made fun of my hair. And then when he came back like 13, 14 years later, he remembered me, and we reconnected, and I was gambling at the time. He's a big gambler. Right. The big story that I have from that is that Friday night of rehearsal, about 8 o'clock at night before the show, the Friday night before the show, he goes to me. I'm standing with Kenan Thompson and Chris Kelly, who's the stage manager. Right. And Barkley walks over to me, and he was like, hey, why don't we get a helicopter and go to a casino?
Barkley invited you to go to a casino?
Yeah, after rehearsal that night.
What?
So 3 hours. He was like, I can get them to fly us a chopper we go to Mohegan Sun, and we'll spend the night there, and then we'll come back. We'll get back in time for rehearsal on Saturday morning. And
when Dennis Rodman left practice during the championship to go to Vegas. Is that what's happening? You can't leave yet. Oh my God.
We all looked at each other like this could be the greatest moment of our lives, and we could also all get fired over this moment. It was one of those things where we said, yeah, okay, let's start the rehearsal for the next scene, and we just kind of let it go, and he never ordered the chopper, we never went. But
there's a problem the next day. There's a problem the next day when all the cue cards everything's misspelled because of all.
There's a big problem when the host, the stage manager, and the head coach are missing for a show.
I'm sure, was Lauren not too thrilled about that?
Well, he didn't know because it didn't happen. So if it had happened, it would not have been. Yeah, like I said, I might not be here talking to you right now. I may be fired. I may be doing janitor work down the shore or something.
So I'm just checking. This is recording. There we go. We're good. We're good shit. Now, okay. I know you are not on camera in the show per se, but legend has it that many SNL cast members have a Lorne Michaels impression. Yes. And I was wondering, I know it might be a bit of a risk because he's your boss, but do you have a Lorne impression?
Well, everybody does Lorne because Lorne's around and everybody does do Lorne. And I am on camera once in a while, Matt. I take offense.
That's right. Right now you are. There you go.
Yes, right. Let me see if I can pull Lorne up. Yes. And I won't do this because this is I won't do that. But yeah. Yes. Okay. All right. Let's do that.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty good.
That's good. That's good.
I haven't met him before, but I'm going off of interviews that I've seen. So yeah.
That's good. That sounds like him. That's a good one.
Thank you very much. Bill Hader does the most phenomenal. He does that bit where he talks about Lorne Michaels, like that he knows so many famous people and he casually names drop serial killers. Bill Hader does it brilliantly. He's like, I went to Cabo with Marcy and Mick, and then Jeffrey Dahmer stopped by. And like, I can't do it, but it's brilliant.
Hader was one of those. Hader was a perfectly, just the perfect cast member to be on that show. He was just handpicked and just like perfect for that show. Just the talent that he had. Yeah.
So what year did you start again at SNL?
1990. So I've been there 30 years this fall.
So you were there when Phil Hartman was there, right?
I was, yes.
I just read You Might Remember Me. It's a great book. If you haven't seen it, or have you ever read it, for anyone watching, check it out. But do you have any insight into kind of what that was like? It's just kind of a personal question. I was just wondering kind of
Phil Hartman was the consummate professional. We called him the glue.
Right.
Because he held every sketch together. He was always in a sketch, and he didn't have big parts sometimes, but he held it together. And he was really, really good at reading cue cards.
Yeah.
He was probably the best.
That's so interesting.
When I started there, because what he would do is, and he would place us.
Right.
He would be like, Wally, I want a set of cards out to center, and then you get the side sets for a sketch. But he would do the thing where if I'm talking to somebody over here, if he's talking, having a conversation, he would do this and be like, well, man, I don't know. And he would, but as he turned, he's turning to the other set of cards, and you couldn't tell. He would just place them. He was just so good at it. He was so good at doing that.
I never thought of, like, from your perspective, thinking about cast members and rank, like most people could like rank cast members in terms of who was the funniest, who could do the best impressions. But from the Wally perspective, it's who could read the cue cards best.
Yeah. Well, I could tell you some ones that read them really badly, but let's not.
Yeah, let's not go there. It's interesting that you mentioned the glue. It brings me to, because I've gotten to meet Keenan a few times, because I was telling you before that he did a talent search competition that I was fortunate to be in and end up winning. And I performed in a show that he hosted in Chicago, and then Vegas. We were supposed to go to LA, but then the pandemic happened. And I hear comparisons to Phil Hartman in that he's sort of like the glue of this cast today.
He really is. I mean, he's been there so long, and we just, we become really good friends, and we text each other a bunch, wishing each other happy birthdays and all that stuff. And he's just the kind of guy that, like, I'll see him at a cast party and we'll fist bump. I don't even know. We shake hands and say, "Hey, great show." And at the end of the year, we're always like, "Can you believe we get to do this? You believe we did this for a year?" And I go, "You're coming back next year." And it's never like, "Well, maybe." And you always hear things. He's doing all these other projects. He's like, "I'm going to come back as long as they let me." And he realizes how much fun it is and how lucky we are to get to do it every year.
Yeah. I mean, he's such a nice guy too. Just
so great.
It's crazy. So I saw that one of your jokes made it to air on Late Night about a year ago, and we were wondering, how often do your jokes actually make it to the air? Because it kind of gets back to the whole Wally as a writer in the Nickelodeon days.
So when I started SNL too, that was the other thing I didn't really talk about. When I started doing the cue cards, I started writing jokes for Weekend Update.
Right.
So
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. So I was young enough to do this. So we would rehearse Friday from 11 in the morning until 12 o'clock, 12:30 sometimes at night, and then I would go up to the 17th floor and write jokes for Norm Macdonald or Kevin Nealon, whoever was doing it. We'd sit around a big table, and I'd write jokes till 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. And the way they did it back then was, yeah,
I'm sorry.
You write a joke, you come up with a joke, you write it. If you think it's good, you read it out loud to everybody. Now that's Norm Macdonald, that's Jim Downey, that's all these guys, these big comedy writers. That here's Wally, the cue card guy, sitting here. But I could write. I was a writer. So yeah. I probably got like 15, 20 jokes on in like a 5 or 6 year span,
right.
which is good for those terms. When you're looking at 300 jokes to get 10 jokes or 12 jokes. So I did that, and then I stopped for a while because the cue cards got too busy, and as I was growing, I get the family and I got kids and stuff. But then when Seth started, they didn't mind people submitting for jokes either. So I started submitting jokes for Seth, and I knew his rhythm and what he liked.
Right.
So
right.
I get probably, I don't know, maybe 9 or 10 jokes I got on in the first season of Seth, maybe.
Is that right?
Yeah, I just stopped. It's pretty good. I just stopped doing it. I don't want to say I got bored with it, but I let the comedy writers really handle that stuff,
Is it the kind of thing where people in the crew would know that's a Wally joke?
I would tell them. Hey, listen to joke 5. That's mine. Make sure you guys laugh.
So you live in Jersey. You work in 30 Rock. So, I mean, how do you find parking every day? How is that even possible?
NBC is nice enough to have a garage. Well, they have a deal with a garage that's 3 blocks from NBC where it costs $15 now or $20. I think it's $20 for a 12-hour day. So I get in my convertible and I drive in, I take it easy, and I park 3 blocks and I walk over to NBC. So it's really easy. I don't have to worry about anything.
Okay, so I will say that was not an option for interns. Okay.
Yeah.
Why didn't I know about this garage, Wally? What the hell? I mean,
no one told you. You had an NBC ID, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wait, say it again. You could have used the garage if you had an NBC ID. Yeah, that's all you need.
I honestly, so I was an intern at the Tonight Show, and I was so afraid to do anything that I wouldn't even think about going anywhere beyond just the studio. It was so nervous. It was like literally, I didn't study abroad. Say it again.
That's really hard because I can tell you, the SNL interns back in the day were allowed to go to cast parties.
Oh God, yeah.
Okay, until a table full of interns, like maybe 4 or 5 of them, sat next to Lorne Michaels' table at a party.
Oh no!
And raised holy hell, and therefore, after that incident, no more interns at cast parties. So, and they probably all got fired too. So you're very
yeah. Oh my God! Yeah, I was perpetually nervous. I mean, I didn't study abroad, so to me, my semester interning at the Tonight Show was like my abroad experience. And I remember like that first day when like Jimmy walked in, I was like, "What the hell is? Why am I allowed in here right now?" Like I remember we had like a brief onboarding period, and then I was like, "What is?" It was like some sort of it was like the studio was floating, is what it felt like. Yeah. So, according to your Instagram, Wally, you are a Peloton enthusiast, and we were wondering what kind of music gets you into the flow when you're working.
Right. Okay, first of all, I put my son Matthew in charge of my Instagram, so. I think he asked me if he could put Peloton on there, and I was like, "Yeah, go ahead." Listen, I hate the fucking Peloton. Excuse me for swearing, but I hate it. I do it every day. I lost 50 pounds with it. It's great. I recommend it to anybody trying to lose weight. But when I get on that thing, I hate it. I used to listen to music. I don't. I watch movies and I watch TV shows now. It's in front of my TV, and I'll watch old movies or old TV shows. That's how I get through my workout.
Have you ever tried holding up cue cards while on the Peloton?
No, I have. No, that could be dangerous. I don't recommend that to anybody.
So brings me to one of my last questions here. Are you at all a part of the auditions? Are you anywhere in the room when there's a new cast member kind of trying to get on the show?
No, I wish I was. They or at least just to watch. Sometimes they hold them when we're doing cards for Seth Meyers, because we do Seth Meyers cards at the SNL desk because the studios are so close to each other, and there's no space for us in the other studio. So sometimes they'll have auditions going on while we're prepping Seth's show. So sometimes I see them. I'll see the scared performer walk through our to get to the stage, and then I'll hear some. And once in a while I'll go out and I'll hear some stuff. But no, it's not. They don't allow them cue cards. They make them do their act on their own.
Because you'd think that'd be a prerequisite to join in the show. Like obviously you have to do impressions, characters, and write, but you should also reading should definitely be a thing that cast members have to go through.
Yeah, I think it's just an extra step that make it too tough on them. You know, let's let them worry about cue. I got to read cue cards and do this. Oh man, yeah.
I know legend has it that Lorne Michaels doesn't laugh in auditions. Is this true? Because I feel like I've heard you mention on Fallon going on Stern or whatever, where he would say, I remember when I auditioned, like Wally, or people always mention that you say that, I guess. Is that right?
I think Lorne has laughed. I think Lorne has definitely laughed. He doesn't laugh at everything for sure.
Okay.
People in the comedy business, I mean, Matt, you're in the business now,
Thank you. I'm in the business from my home in Chicago. Very nice.
That's the business. The world we're living in now. That's the business.
Yeah.
When you write a joke, like I remember, I write a funny joke when I was writing a joke for Weekend Update, and right. I usually wouldn't laugh, or I'd be like, oh yeah, that's funny. You realize it's funny without laughing. That's kind of Lorne in auditions. He's like, oh yeah, he recognizes what's funny, what's original. He doesn't have the laugh doesn't have to give it away,
Absolutely. Couple more questions. If you could host your own talk show, who would be your first guest?
Oh boy. Who would be my first guest on a talk show? I would probably have to say my brother, because my brother's the one who got me that interview and got me into the cue cards, even though he told me.
Letterman and Seinfeld, right?
Yeah, my brother was Spike Feresten. He wrote for Seinfeld. He wrote for Letterman. He had his own talk show.
Right.
He's the one who got me the interview and got me into the business. Even though he did recommend me after a year of doing cue cards, he was like, "You need to get out of there. You're going to get stuck doing cue cards your whole life. You don't want that." And
you're telling me you'd have your brother, the man who accused you of having terrible handwriting, that'd be your guess?
Yeah, I think I'd have to. I think I would have to do it. You know,
I don't think I would say the same of my brother. I love you, Jack, my brother, but that's a pretty big question. But that's very nice of you. It shows you are a.
Oh, you know, it's like look. I mean, he was my best man at my wedding. You know, it wasn't my best friend, but you know, he's my brother. You know, you gotta look out.
Brings me into the present day. So you started doing something unbelievable. You started a new personalized cue card business, and we want to know what got you into this. Like, how did you get the idea? It's so brilliant. I mean, I was thinking about it. What an amazing gift for comedy lovers, and there's obviously such a huge fan base at SNL to get your own personalized cue card by the man who makes the cue card. Like, I can't think of anything cooler. Where did this idea come from?
Yeah, you know, I had it last summer when I wasn't doing a lot. Summers are slow. I'm just doing Seth Meyers 4 days a week. And my wife's in marketing and she works in business. And I said, "Hey, what do you think of this idea? You want to do that? Want to help me set this up?"
Right.
She wanted nothing to do with it. So I was like, you know, she might have been having a couple cocktails while I was telling her about it. And she was like, "Yeah, I have enough work. I don't want to take on something else." But she likes starting up companies. Right. So I tried to go through Cameo, and Cameo, because it's basically what kind of my idea is. Like, I'll go on Cameo. I'll come through Cameo to be easy. They'll do all the work. Right. I'll do a percentage, blah, blah, blah. They wouldn't even talk to me because I don't have enough Instagram followers or Twitter followers. Kidding? Wouldn't even answer an email. I tried finding a phone number. I couldn't get anybody on the phone. So I was like, what? Yeah. So I scrapped it. And then when COVID was around, my wife was sitting next to me and I was doing nothing for about a month. You know, I was sleeping until noon, which I do every day anyway, but sleeping until noon, waking up, watching TV, watching movies, just kind of getting depressed.
Right, right.
And she was like, "Yeah, I kind of want to, I'm getting that itch to start a company for somebody." I was like, "Well, what about my company with the personalized cue cards?" And she's like, "Oh, now it's a perfect time to do that because people need gifts to give people for graduations and birthdays that they can't go to." She's like, "It's a great time to do it." So she helped me set it up. We did a Venmo account and an Instagram account, and we launched, and it's taken off.
What's been the most bizarre request that you've received?
You know, I haven't. Some guy last week emailed me and asked if I would write curse words on the cue cards. He's like, "You probably won't." Can I write curse words?
My brother to go fuck himself. I
said, "Listen, as long as it's not racist or homophobic or anything like that, if it's just curse words, hey, I'm game. I'll write whatever you want on it." So that was the little weird. I haven't got that request yet, though. I'll post that if he ever actually pays me to do it. But I think maybe he was just testing the waters out. There haven't been really crazy ones. There've been good, nice things. You know, like a woman in England had me write up cards to tell her husband that he's gonna be a father.
Wow.
You know, so that's really cool. But here's the funny story about that.
That's great.
It took her it took like 3 or 4 weeks to get the cards to London. And she keeps on asking me, "Where are the cards? Where are the cards?" So I'm thinking she's pregnant and she's waiting for these cards to tell her husband she's pregnant. And I'm thinking she's getting bigger and bigger every day. And she's freaking out that the cards aren't coming. So I finally emailed her. I was like, "Did you get the cards? What happened?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, I got them last week." And I was like, "So what happened?" She's like, "Oh, I'm not pregnant yet. When I'm pregnant, I'm going to use the cards." And I'm like, "Oh," I was panicking. I was sitting at home panicking.
So nerve-wracking. Yeah, you could have totally impacted the trajectory of that baby's life.
Totally. Yeah.
So this is unbelievable to me. And I didn't realize this, but you're actually still working on the show. You're holding up cue cards for Seth Meyers while at home.
Yes.
How's that working?
Yeah, they had a thing when they first started doing this. He did a Really with Seth and Amy one night. Right. And they were having trouble. He's been using a prompter app, and they were having trouble syncing it with both people for timing. That the timing was off. So they said, "Let's try cue cards." And I was like, "Well, how are we going to do that?" And he's like, "Well, write the cards up. We'll hold it in front of the Zoom camera, and we'll make your box big enough so that they can read the cards. We'll put it up on the camera." And it worked. The tech guys figured it out. So I've been doing like twice a week for like the last month. I've been doing any sketch on Seth Meyers that involves 1 or 2 or 3 people. I hold the cards up in front of the camera and they read them, and it's worked pretty well.
And how's he doing the monologues look?
Closer look at monologue. He's using a prompter app.
Right.
He has no choice. I couldn't write. I mean, closer look sometimes are 120 cards, 140 cards.
That'd be crazy. Yeah.
It's not feasible for me to be able to do that, you know, through this. So, but something like a sketch that's maybe 20 or 25 cards I can handle.
Wow, that's crazy. Because I was thinking about, I was wondering what you've been up to. I had a vision of you holding up, making cue cards for fake arguments you'd have in the house. Like, let's say you're arguing with the wife, or so you're holding up a cue card insult or something. I don't know what that. I was thinking about what you've been doing at home. So that is.
Yeah, no, just trying to stay busy. No, I don't. If I don't have to write a cue card, Matthew, I don't write a cue card. Okay, I've been doing it for 30 years. I pay people to write my cue cards now. If my son's handwriting was a little better, he would have written all these cards today for you, but I wrote those up for you today. So.
Well, Wally, this has been an amazing interview. Thank you so much for taking the time, and it leads us in to a segment we're going to do together right now. Yes. Wally, I do celebrity impressions. You happen to work at the hub, the epitome, the best place in the world for celebrity impressionists. So, Wally, today we're going to play a game called Queued Up Impressions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. Here we go.
Well, I'll tell you what, folks, believe me, I will tell you this. Halloween candy is a great thing. And I'll tell you what, my favorite thing, it's so great. It's a Three Musketeer. Do we love this thing? It is so great because of the way it melts in your mouth like a good cheeseburger from McDonald's or China. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh my God, you know what? The coronavirus has left such an indelible mark on my career because it's forced me to pause, reflect, and have incredible moments like this with the legend, Wally. Oh my God, you are fantastic.
Yes, very, very good. I'd like to take Wally Feresten to Starbucks and order together a grande ice mocha with no whipped cream because Jeff Goldblum likes to have his morning coffee very, very silky smooth like a Jamaican beach. All right, so bottom line is, right, so Wally was on the show, I think last week, right? This guy is fantastic, okay? And I'm going to tell you why I was in the zone for the interview. It's because I was meditating before. I've been doing TM, people, for literally 25 years. It is fantastic. It gets you in the flow, the mindset. And I'll tell you what, okay, if you want to be focused like a laser, you got to start meditating. Is that right, Wally? You know it is, okay? Thank you. Are you kidding me? Are you serious? Quidditch is a fictional fucking sport designed by J.K. Rowling, who is completely and utterly absurd. Okay, people flying on broomsticks. It makes no motherfucking sense. Oh my God. Okay, so I'm literally in the house the other day. I see people going outside to the grocery store without wearing a mask. So I go download my favorite app. It's called Grubhub. It's like, what? People are using DoorDash, Postmates, Caviar. You're supposed to order, very simple. And have you seen the way these delivery guys smell up the food? It's like, what are they doing? Oh my God, this is amazing. I love it. Like, Apple TV is so good. Yeah. Okay, I have to say, so I was with my son, Benjamin. He is so adorable. And I was like, what can I watch? So I put on my Apple TV and we watched The Housewives together for like literally 3 hours. It was amazing. Fuck yeah. And that's it. And then I think that's Queued Up Impressions. And this is a card right here that Wally made just for me. And it says, live from New York. It's Matterday Night Live. Or I'll do the Don Pardo. Live. That was a voice crack. Live from New York. It's Matterday Night Live. Wally, can we get you to say it?
Live from New York. It's Matterday Night Live.
Yes.